In this video, we're going to graph a cosine function. So first we want to start by finding the midline. My midline is that vertical change or the last number at the end. If there is no number, then it would just have been 0. But here I have a -1. My midline is -1. So I'm coming down on the y-axis, finding -1 and drawing my midline. This is going to be the middle of my curve. Next up, we have to figure out how tall is my graph going to be. The height is my amplitude, which is my front number. If there was no number here, it would just be a 1, but they're giving me a -3. So something to remember, our distance is always positive. So if we see a negative number, just remember that it's going to be the absolute value of it. So I'm going to be going 3 up and 3 down. Now, the importance of that negative tells me if I'm going down first or up first on my wave. That negative tells me that I'll be going down first. So I'm going to put a smiley face there to remind myself when I'm making my dots that my curve should be going down. Next, I have to figure out where my very first dot is going to be. So I'm looking for dot number 1. Now, is this a cosine or a sine graph? Coming up here, I'm seeing that it's a cosine graph. Cosine graph tells me I start off the midline. So here's my midline. I am not going to put my dot on the midline. I'm starting off the midline. Now, am I going to start up or down? I'm starting down because it's a negative amplitude. So I'm going to come down here and put my first dot off the midline, and this is where it's going to be. Now, my finish location, we always take 2 pi, and we're going to divide it by whatever number is touching the x. So I'm going to come up here, and I have a 2 times x. The number touching the x is a 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. 2 over 2 is just 1, which means my ending will be at pi. So I'm just going to give myself some room here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put the pi right there. So my curve ends at pi. Now the question is, should I put my dot on the midline? No, I should not. If I start off, I end off. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm making sure my starting location and my ending location has the same dot. All right. Now here's something I need to be aware of. I have to be able to go below it and above the midline to make this happen. So where should my middle dot be? Well, if my start and my end are off the midline, so is going to be my middle dot. So I have my first and my last. Now let's do the middle. I'm going to go in, in, in. Here's my middle. And I'm going to go up to the +3. So here is dot 1, dot 2, dot 3. Now I have to find the ones in between. So here is these locations. Go in, go in. Here's the middle. And I got to be on the midline this time. Got to find the middle location. Whoop, on the midline. How do I know? Because I have to be able to go below it and above it to make my wave. So now it's time to finish it. Let's connect those dots. Waves are circular. And waves are circular. Notice I start and end. Here's a full cycle. I'm below the midline and above the midline to make it happen. And I made sure my amplitude is recognized both below and above. And this is how you graph a cosine.